Hello and welcome to another video tutorial with Techie Mama. Thank you for joining. Today I want to go through a really cool plugin called Forminator to create all your form needs on your website. So forms do a lot on your website, from contact forms to newsletter submissions to even forms for referrals and requests and quote requests and anything under the sun, payment forms, invoice forms. There's a lot that you can do with forms. It's a great way to get your users to go in on your website and give you some information to just interact with your website. So this is an example of a form. Right now, it's more of a contact form than the free consultation works for that. But let's say we want to change this to a quote form. We want to be able to give someone a quote based on their input. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our dashboard. And over on the left in our dashboard, we have Forminator. And let's go ahead and we're going to create a new form. What's really cool about Forminator is you can also create quizzes and polls. All of these are going to work very similarly to each other. So we're going to concentrate on forms today, but I'll have future tutorials for polls and quizzes. When you click on create, you get a couple of pre-made templates that you can use and then add to, or you can start from scratch. So we're going to click on the quote request option and click on continue. And we'll call it request quote. All right, so in this form, the fields that we have are services, additional notes, first name, email address, and phone number. And they're, to me, in a little bit of a weird order. So first thing I want to do is reorder them. And to do this, we're just going to hover over it. And one great thing about Forminator is it's a fully drag and drop enabled form editor. So we can just click and drag and move it up, and we can move email address up. And let's say phone number, we want it to go kind of on the side of email. So these two are going to go side by side, which is really cool. Services and additional notes. So for first name, and which is just a text field or a name field, our options that we have, we can go to the cogwheel and click on edit field. And we can do a single field or multiple fields. So let's say we want to capture the first and last name, and they're both going to be required because we have an asterisk. If we put in the prefix, this one's actually an optional field. So we can see more information about that there. Under settings, you can show whether it's required or optional. So first name, let's say we really want the first name, but the last name, if they don't want to provide that, we can put that as optional. Click on apply. Options for the email address are very simple. You can change the placeholder. You can add descriptions. Again, you can put required. It does by default validate the field. So this is what changes it from being just a regular text field. So it's going to look for something that is some kind of text, an @ symbol, more text or numbers, a dot, and then an extension. So this would validate, whereas that would not validate. So in the validation message, you can add additional information about what they need to provide to have a valid email address. Services is a checkbox. So checkboxes, you can check one or multiple options. So let's say our services are web design, graphic design. If we want to add more options, virtual assistants. Yeah, I guess that's spelled right. And you'll notice that the first option here is the label. That's what people see. The second option is the value. This is what is entered into the database. So um, you don't have to worry about the value so much. It's going to auto create a value, but if you wanted to be more specific, you could go in and change it. You can also go in and select one to start out with. So if most of your clients are going to be wanting to do web design with you, you can have that pre-selected. Just to make it a little bit easier. The idea with forms is you don't want people to have to think. It should be as clear as you can make it so that they don't run into errors, they don't run into confusion. They know exactly what they need to put in. And what helps with that is as much as you can pre-fill or give examples that will help your user be able to use the form more successfully. Additional notes is a text area. So a text area has multiple lines. A lot of times you don't have any styling options with text areas, but if you wanted to allow the tiny MCE editor, which is the toolbar that we're all familiar with, you could go in and click on enable here. Also set a character limit and no and or a word limit. And if you leave it blank, it will allow unlimited characters. Let's take a look at some of our additional fields that we have options for. Some of the things that I want to talk about specifically, checkboxes are very similar to radio buttons and selects. Radio buttons are going to be a mutually exclusive option, so you can check one or the other. Whereas select boxes, you can have a couple of different ways that you can set it up. You can have it be just one option, or you can have it be a multiple select. Websites and input fields are all pretty self-explanatory. The only difference between some of these input fields is that the validation is going to check for a phone number or an address or a website. So again, we're making it super easy for the user to put in the correct information. Date picker and time picker are really nice. They're allow you to put in fields of dates and times very easily and a nice little drop down. GDPR is really important, especially in the EU and in the UK, to protect each other's privacy. We want to make sure that we have full consent to use the information that we're gathering from them and to collect it and to store it. So the GDPR approval links to your privacy policy and to your terms and conditions so that they can see that clearly and don't have to search for it. Sections break up the form into various sections so that you can kind of have some breaks and some organization, whereas pagination actually takes you to a second page where you can have then more fields. So let's play around with some of these fields. So first, let's put up as a section, we'll do contact info. Then let's see, for the date, we can do project due date, possibly. And you can choose from calendar to drop downs to text inputs. I like the calendar. I think it's probably one of the easiest to choose. Drop downs would have like a drop down for the month, day, and year. The date format, if you're in Europe, a lot of times they do day first and then month and year, and then there's also year, month, and date. So I'm just going to leave it on the calendar option. Time picker, really don't know what you would need this for, maybe to ask like a specific time that you want to meet or so forth. Just launch time, best launch time, or requested launch time. There we go. So just in case a client needs it to be launched in the middle of the day. All right, so add our pagination. We'll go up here, and so pagination, can maybe project details. All right, so this is coming together. GDPR a lot of times is the last field that you'll see before the submit. Additional notes. One nice thing about Forminator is that it does allow some logic on visibility. So let's say we want the date picker, since it's a launch date for a website. We want to show it only if all of these rules are applied. So if we click on add, and we're going to click on the services as having, and then web design. So only if web design is picked up above are we going to show the date picker option down below. So we'll click on apply and we can take a look at that. And then our submit button is going to say request quote. We can change this to something different, like submit or contact, or a lot of different options for buttons there. All right, let's go to appearance. Appearance, we have some default design styles: flat, bold, material, and none, which means that your style sheet will be applied. I tend to like bold. Colors, you can choose the default colors, which you see above, or you can do custom colors for each of your elements. Fonts, same thing. Use the theme fonts or choose custom fonts for all of your elements. And then you have some options for the container, for the pagination, show a little progress bar, show steps. That's kind of nice. Behavior after submission, you can redirect to a URL. So let's say we want to redirect to the home page. You can redirect on the same tab or choose a new window. A couple of different options there. The method and validation and submission indicator, all of these options down here, I would change if you know what it means that you really need a different style, but defaults are going to work just fine for most people. Payments, you want to make sure you enable SSL for payments. Autofill is really nice. If a person is logged in, you can select to autofill information that is in their profile. Security has some options for something called honeypot, which is a trick that prevents spam bots from submitting a ton of submissions. And then additional security, you can enable logged in submissions only. So only users of your site could go in and submit. Lifespan, so you can have it expire after a certain date or a certain amount of submissions, which is kind of nice. Just some additional options. These are options that you do not find with all of the different form plugins that are out there. And again, this form plugin is completely free. There is a pro version, but everything that I'm doing here is completely free. Email notifications, there's a lot of different options for emails. You could, by default, it will send an email to the admin users and it will automatically grab your main admin email, but you can also go in and type any other email that you like. You can go in and add any of the fields. There's a little tool to help you identify the fields. So you can add in all the different required fields or the different, say I just want to see what the services are that they wanted. And then additionally, you can send a confirmation email to the user. Integrations, there are a lot of integrations that are possible with Forminator. This is one of the things that makes Forminator really a strong plugin. They by default will integrate with MailChimp, Google Sheets, Slack, HubSpot, Trello, Campaign Monitor, Aweber, and ActiveCampaign. And then additionally, it has a link to Zapier. So if you use Zapier or you need to link to a different app that is not on this list, you can use Zapier to trigger different things automatically. All right. Lastly, settings. This is about data storage and database. So data storage, do you want to store things on the database? By default, you do. If you want to disable that because you have some kind of additional privacy policy that says that you're not storing anything, then you can go ahead and disable it. Privacy options, the submissions, how long are you going to retain the submissions for? By default, it's forever. If you want to do a custom amount, you can change that. The default is something that you set up in the Forminator privacy settings. So you do have a couple of different options here that you can go in and set up, including reCAPTCHA and various options. All right, account erasure requests. So if someone requests that you delete their account completely from your website, you can remove the submission, or you can alternatively retain the submissions. Or if your default is to retain, then the custom might be to delete based off of just this form. And then submission files. So if you chose the upload field for one of your fields, this is options of whether you want to keep your files or delete it when an account is deleted. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to publish. And we're going to get a nice little short code. Short code is just a little bit of code that WordPress knows what to do with. And in this case, this code is going to expand into the whole form that we just created. So we're going to copy that. And we're going to go ahead and go to our home page and to our contact page. And on this page, we have a form right now, but we want to switch out to this more complex form. So we're going to click on Beaver Builder, since that is the page builder that we're using, because we can edit and put that shortcode anywhere in WordPress, in any kind of text area, in any page builder, in a widget, anything that you're using at that moment. A lot of times, especially in page builders, you will not see it expanded out, but it is there. So click on Done and then Publish, and then refresh our page. And hey, there it is. And there's our progress meter. There's our section title. There are our fields with the required fields. Here are services. So I'm interested in all three services. Click on Next. So our project due date, let's say I need it by the end of the month. Our requested launch time, let's say I want to launch it at 4 a.m. when nobody's on my site. And then here's the GDPR. It links to the privacy policy and the terms and conditions. You need to go in and manually link those in the settings, but go ahead and click on yes, and then request quote. And it submits, and it is redirecting us to the group page. So great little way to do a form. And if we go back to our dashboard and in the edit form screen, but in our dashboard, and we go to request a quote, we can actually see the stats and see the submissions right um, in our website. So you do not need to send all the submissions to your email. You can go in and just view it from the website. So if you click on the submissions, you'll get a long list of the submissions, and you can export it into a CSV. You get kind of a little preview, but then there's 7 other fields, so you can kind of see all of the different information that they entered in. You can do this with any of the forms. We go submissions. You choose whichever form you want. So our contact form, how many submissions, a newsletter sign up. We have 1 submission. So that makes it really nice. You don't have to worry about it emailing you every time, especially if it's a newsletter form that's going to go automatically into your email marketing system like MailChimp or MailerLite. You probably don't want an email every time someone signs up for your newsletter. So there we go. Thank you for watching. If you like this tutorial and you want more content on WordPress and other apps for mompreneurs and lady bosses, please subscribe to my channel and get updates right away.